Supported by Albertsons.
And brought to you by
Miller Lite, the only beer of the Cowboys. It's Miller time. Albertsons and Tom Thumb, the official supermarket and pharmacy of the Dallas Cowboys. Lucchese, the official bootmaker of the Dallas Cowboys. Blockchain.com, trusted by millions, trusted by America's team. And by Omni. Omni Hotels and Resorts, the official hotel of the Dallas Cowboys.
Now, your hosts, Kristi Scales and Brad Sham.
And welcome, everybody. It's Victory Monday on the Cowboys Hour. How about that? The first Victory Monday of the year. And who do we have as our very special guest but the man of the hour, the touchdown machine, Noah Brown.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming in. You could... Are you still sleepy from celebrating?
No, sir. No, sir. I'm here. I'm ready to go.
You're just kind of leveled out. One of the writers asked Cooper Rush last night in his press conference. You know how Coop is. He's just answering questions, and yeah, we did. One guy said, "Are you happy?"
Right. No, that's one of the things about Coop. He's so even keeled, but it keeps everybody else calm. And so that's one of the good things about Coop.
Well, it appears to be that way about Noah. Also, we're delighted to have you here. So for those of you joining us, thank you wherever you're listening on the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network and or streaming on DallasCowboys.com. So you can look into that little box right there and wave, Noah, because that's what we're doing. We're streamed. And thank you all for being with us. And Kristi and I want to tell you that these first two shows have been in the Dallas Cowboys podcast studio at the Star. But next week, the technical tests are done, and so we'll have a live audience next week. Where are we next week?
Here in the Star District. We'll be announcing the restaurant, the venue, but we have a very exciting guest.
Can we not announce the venue right now?
Well, what's really, Cavante Turpin's going to be there. So we're going to have to make sure that there's lots of space because we know that we're going to have a lot of fans that come out to see Cavante.
We don't want to say where it is? Oh, you don't know where it is. Okay. But I do because I put it in my phone.
There you go.
Concrete Cowboy.
Oh, that's a great patio.
Concrete Cowboy. That's Tuesday night next week. You can go Monday. You'll probably have a really good time. And you can watch the Cowboys game with the Giants on Monday night. Then we'll be there with Cavante Turpin on Tuesday night. So they're letting us out of the home studio.
But what I want to point out for tonight is, yes, Noah was the offensive star of the game yesterday, but this was planned well in advance. We knew we knew that Noah and Noah, confession, Brad and I on the sideline before the game about an hour before kickoff, and of course we've got a vested interest. Of course we want a Cowboys win. We also want an exciting game for the broadcast, but it's like, oh man, today is going to be Noah's day, and it was. So we were so thrilled.
Let it be. And of course, Joe Trahan from the Cowboys PR staff helped set this up, and so he gets some of the credit too. But what a thank you for waiting to score your first career touchdown until the night you were coming on here. That's great. So we were just talking about it, but I'll ask you again publicly now. I mean, that's unusual to play 6 years as a receiver and not have an opportunity. Have you ever been thrown one in the end zone before yesterday?
Yeah, a couple times.
Just didn't work out.
To connect. Yeah.
Yesterday it worked. So have you been envisioning the celebration for 6 years?
Yeah, I've had a couple of different things in my mind, but to be honest, once I scored, my mind just kind of went blank, and I was just happy.
What things did you have in mind? What things did you envision before the moment came upon you?
A couple of different dances. I'm from Jersey, so there's a lot of different club dances we do that are popular. So thought about doing some of those things, but that all went out the window once it happened.
Well, I want to know what you have done with the football, your first career touchdown. And I know that last night when you scored, you flung it down, you spun it, right? Mm-hmm. So it was spinning like a top, which was very cool. But Zeke had to run and fetch that ball for you, so that to make sure that Dylan from the Cowboys equipment staff could safely tuck it away in the equipment trunk behind the Cowboys bench. But now that you have the football, what are you going to do with it, or where do you have it right now?
I actually have to get that from Dylan. And
oh, my goodness. Okay.
Well, you guys were off today, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
They got a bonus day off today.
Right. Okay.
So, but he's got it. You know where he is.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Gee, I'm so tempted because we have this visual component, the streaming thing. And since I'm sure some of your people from Jersey are going to be checking this out, I'm so tempted to have you maybe get up and show us a little bit of what one of them Jersey dances would have been.
Maybe Monday night.
Monday night. How many tickets do you have to come up with Monday night?
I'm actually not even sure yet. I haven't figured that out yet, but a lot of family, a lot of friends out there, so it'll be a good time.
So your high school football, were you about an hour away from MetLife, or a little further than that, hour and a half or so?
A little bit more, but yeah, I actually played my high school state championship at MetLife. That was the last time I played there.
Did you win?
Say that again?
Did you win?
No, we lost by like 50.
Ooh.
Stop.
Yeah, we lost by about
But you
50
were a
points.
private school.
Yes, sir. Yeah, the team we lost to was top 5 in the country that year, so.
But at the time,
50 was a lot.
At the time,
It's a lot.
yeah.
It's a lot.
Sorry, we brought it up. Did you follow Giants or Jets, or it's not too far from Philly either? Probably 2.5 hours from there.
Growing up, I was actually a Giants fan.
Really? Okay. And who in particular? Was that Victor Cruz, or maybe
Tiki
a little
Barber.
before that? Tiki. Okay,
Yeah,
there you
Tiki
go.
Barber was my favorite player.
Now, have you gotten over that?
Yeah, obviously I've had to get over that since I've been here so long. But that was definitely growing up. That was my guy.
So, for people who don't know, one of the reasons that you were drafted here is that you got such a very strong endorsement from the running back with whom you played at Ohio State.
Right.
Do you give him credit for you being in the NFL, or does he just take it?
No, I absolutely attribute some of that to him because I think that speaks the highest volumes when somebody that you work with every day, somebody that you've been with for 4 years throughout college vouches for you. I think it says a lot about their respect for your work, and I have a ton of respect for Zeke and appreciation. You're
a different player now, though, than the one that came in here. 17, right? It was the year you were drafted. So, I mean, you've changed your body makeup. You've also, you've clearly worked a ton on route running and things like that. Tell the people a little bit about what you've done to evolve from the Noah Brown that came here as a rookie to the one that's now a touchdown machine.
Right. I think coming here as a rookie, I was a little bit. I think I came out a little bit early, to be honest with you. My body wasn't in the shape that it needed to be. My first day here with the Cowboys, I was about 230. So I eventually got down to like 220 that season, but had injuries. So and I think a lot of that had to do with the load that my body was carrying. So, the following off seasons, I just progressively knocked my weight down. I'm down to 200 pounds flat now. So I think it's really been a huge payoff for me.
Yeah, it's a completely different coaching staff and philosophy from 2017. But what did they tell you then that they wanted you to be as a pro in the system that was here?
In 2017?
In 2017, when you came in, because you may have been bigger than you needed to be or even wanted to be, but clearly you were good enough to make the team.
Right. Something that has always stuck with me everywhere I went, really since high school. I had an AAU coach that had a huge impact on me, and one thing he always said when it came to basketball was be really good at the things that happen a lot in the game. And I think that's something that I took pride in, and although I wasn't in tip-top shape necessarily or where I needed to be technically as a receiver, I was really good at things that happen a lot, which is protecting the person with the ball in their hands and got me on the field.
And I'd like for you to discuss that more, Noah, because I think a lot of fans, they just see receivers catching the ball or scoring touchdowns and don't realize all of the work that happens off the ball. Right. About the importance of like carrying your defender so they don't come off, slough off, and jump a route and things like that. So, what were some of those nuances that you were able to pick up on?
I think that really since I walked in the door here, they seen that I had the willingness to block, and from that point on, I was at the point of attack a lot, like right where the play was going, and just a lot of that stuff is willingness. Because a lot of that thing isn't flashy. You might not get a lot of credit for it, so a lot of people don't pay too much attention to it. But it was something that I took pride in and something that was able to help me flourish a little bit.
But you mentioned coming out early. You had 2 years of eligibility remaining, right, at Ohio State, and they did miss some playing time due to injury when you were at Ohio State. So were you 20 years old when you arrived here? You were like guys like Tyron Smith.
He's 26 now.
Yeah. But
Right?
Yes.
For example, Tyron Smith comes here as a first-round draft pick. He was only 20 years old, and his birthday's in December. He had played like 12 NFL regular season games before he was old enough to legally buy a beer inside AT&T Stadium.
Wow.
So I think that
Good thing he didn't have one. before
exactly
that,
right. No, I safe to say that maybe you had just a higher learning curve than some of these guys who now come out, they're 22, 23 years old, and then they get credit for like a COVID year. And one thing that Mike McCarthy was talking about this year's rookie class and even last year's rookie class, just more time on task, and they're just a little bit more older and mature because they've had more college experience. Do you see that with some of these young guys coming in now?
No, I definitely agree with that, and that's one of the things in the wide receiver room. I would say something that Dennis Houston's really impressed me with, just his maturity level and his eagerness to get better and attention to details. Something like, even looking back at myself, I know I wasn't like that when I first got here. So it's just a testament to him, and I think he's going to have a great future because of it.
How are you different
How is I different?
from what Dennis is now?
I think, like, just for example, if Dennis runs a good route in practice and catches the ball and I come up to him and tell him good route, I probably would have just said thank you as a rookie, but he'll tell me 2 other things that he could have done to improve the route or something that he was frustrated with. So to see that is kind of refreshing.
Speaking of the room, when you look around it, do you have to slap yourself to realize you're the old guy in that room?
Yeah, it was definitely a different feeling in OTAs at first. We break it down at the end of practice. Everyone's holding their hands up, looking at me. I'm looking around because I'm not used to being the one breaking it down. But took some getting used to. But I definitely think I'm ready for the role.
Are you enjoying this attention? And I don't know if you get the Dallas Morning News delivered at your house, but Brad and I do. And right there on the front of the sports page, and giant photo of you catching the touchdown, and all over social media today, and all over SportsCenter last night. Have you been paying attention to how you've been blowing up over these past 24 hours?
I didn't see that specific thing that you were talking about, but for me, really, it's just it's not so much a positive as in its attention, but I think it's just validates the work that I've been putting in, and that I'm going to continue to put in. So to eventually get recognized for some of that, it does feel good.
So the first part of this Cowboys season, on the offensive side of the ball particularly, is going to be under the banner headline, Pay Attention, because there are going to be people making big contributions to whom you have not paid a lot of attention in the past, and you're going to start. And Noah Brown is at the head of the list. He's our guest tonight on the Cowboys Hour, and we'll be right back.
Lite Cowboys Hour, supported by Albertsons.
The Cowboys Hour along the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network is presented by Albertsons and Tom Thumb. And when it's time to shop for tailgate favorites, go to Albertsons and Tom Thumb and get 10% off your groceries every Dallas Cowboys game day when you wear your Cowboys jersey. Albertsons and Tom Thumb, the official supermarket and pharmacy of the Dallas Cowboys. I'm Kristi Scales, alongside the voice of the Dallas Cowboys, Brad Sham. And Brad, the 10% off, I'm thinking that if you're Noah Brown and you score your first NFL touchdown in the first win of the season as the Cowboys beat the Bengals 20-17, if you're Noah Brown and you wear your number 85 Noah Brown jersey to Albertsons or Tom Thumb this week, you should get 85% off. What do you think? Noah, does that work for you?
Yes,
yeah, we'll put a call in to Carol Roberts and see if we can make that work.
But the promotion is for game day, right?
Well, but you know what?
I don't want Noah there on game day.
It's a party all week long. It's Victory Monday, and we're gonna let this party go all week.
Sure.
If you're Noah Brown and you score a touchdown, you get the party all week.
From Albertson's point of view, we're running in the right direction because D. Law was here last week and she tried to run a 90% off deal on that.
You know, Cavante Turpin, he's number 9, so he would only get 9% off.
Right.
So that's not.
And that'll be next week,
by
the way, at Concrete Cowboy. So make plans to come out and join us with Cavante Turpin. Noah Brown is our guest this evening. I did happen to have a copy of today's Dallas Morning News sports section in my briefcase, and I have torn off the front page and given it to Noah. So you've got at least one copy. You got at least one copy of that. Talk a little bit, please, about how just in the last couple of years, as you have refined your receiving game, how you have changed as a receiver. Because right now, everybody's looking for playmakers. You see yourself as a playmaker. You clearly made several yesterday. How do you get to that point? How did you get to that point?
Just paying attention to the details of the game. Dropping a little bit of weight, I did gain some more speed, but even then, I'm still not the fastest person on the field. So, paying attention to details, how you can get a defensive back to shift his hips or stop his feet, so you can transition and come out of your break. I think that's something that I've studied and something that I'm getting good at.
One of the things that has opened some opportunities for many of you, obviously, is Amari Cooper not being here anymore, but you were with him for 4 years, and he's an exceptional route runner. He's one of the best ever. The great baseball star Ted Williams, maybe the best hitter in the history of the game, had an uncanny ability to see the strike zone, and he wouldn't even swing at pitches in the strike zone that weren't the ones he wanted. But he could not transmit that ability to other players. He could say, don't swing at that, but he couldn't make him do it. What did you learn from being around Amari Cooper for several years that has been able to help you improve as a route runner?
Yeah, that was one of the blessings of being around Coop, was because not only was he so advanced in his technique and the things he was doing on the field, he was very willing and open to share it with you and show you how to do it. So just paying attention to the things that he did and kind of molding them into my own. You know, if I try and go out there and do exactly what Coop does, I probably get covered every time. I'm not Coop. But what I can do is take the little things that he does and adapt them to my game and help me improve. So,
are you still, do you think of yourself as physical a receiver as you were before you dropped some weight?
Absolutely. As I talked a little bit earlier about blocking, I think a lot of that stuff is willingness. You don't have to be the strongest guy. You just got to want to get the job done. So I think that I'm definitely still that guy.
As you're talking about refining the details of being a wide receiver, so much continuity with the Cowboys coaching staff, except at your position group. You have a new position coach this year in Robert Prince. And this is his first year, obviously, with the Cowboys. He had been with Detroit and had Megatron and some great players in the past. But could you speak not only to the relationship that you have with your new position coach, but does he have you doing some different things, or what are some of the things that you're picking up from him that you didn't get from previous coaches? I'm sure they all have ways they like to teach.
Not necessarily something that I didn't get from other coaches, but something that he does very well is his attention to detail at all times. Like, no matter if the play was good or bad, if we messed up on a detail of how we do things, he's going to make sure it's known. He may not flip out, but he's going to stress the importance of it so that when the play has potential to go bad, your technique could save it.
Can you please give us an example of a specific detail? Would it be like chopping your steps, or what are some of the specific things?
It's literally everything with him, down to the split, the where your eyes are during the play. Like, he's very specific about certain things, and I think it holds us all accountable and holds us all to a certain standard.
Every football team wants to have its specific identity, and sometimes that's one for offense and one for defense. And it's a little hard for you guys when you've had the quarterback change for a few weeks. Hope Dak will be back whenever he's back, obviously, and he's a remarkable leader. Cooper Rush has probably proved himself to people by now that he can handle this job, but he's a different personality. There's a different dynamic between the two of them. And as you are growing these baby receivers in your room and waiting for MG to come back, what do you see as your team's offensive identity right now, and where do you think it's going?
I think we're an offense that's going to attack all game. I think that the best example of this was last game, of what we can be like, and still we had a lot of self-inflicted issues and things that we can clean up. So just someone we're gonna keep striking every opportunity that we get.
Were you surprised that the coaching staff went for the fourth down on the first possession?
No, I wasn't surprised at all.
Really?
No. We work on those type of things a lot in practice. I think we work 2-minute and situational things more than anybody. So I think we were not blinking an eye and ready to go execute.
Yeah, take us through the specifics of that play, because it happened so early, and I know we all been, the highlights are you catching the touchdown pass, but if you hadn't had that fourth down grab earlier in the drive, tell us about that play specifically.
It was something that we worked all week, actually, and made a catch similar to that exact ball in practice. So it was something that we had planned for and just had to execute.
Well, and then we were talking before we came in on the second touchdown drive, and third down was not the best thing you did as a group yesterday, but there was a 3rd and 10, and you were wide open. You just ran it over, and I don't know what they were doing defensively, but you were wide open. Cooper put it right on you. What's the key to converting those kinds of plays?
Like you said, I was wide open in that moment because of what Kellen called. We expected a certain coverage on third downs, so going into that down, we had a play for it, and we got exactly what we wanted, and it was on me and Coop to execute. And Coop laid a great ball out there, anticipated my cut, and dropped it right where it needed to be.
Yeah.
You stumbled a little at the point of the catch. If that part of the operation been a little smoother, would you have run a bunch more?
Absolutely. I was actually, to be honest, I was a little bit shocked with the ball being right there. As soon as I turned, I just tried to make sure I held on to it with the defender behind me. But I think there's a little bit more I could have got out of it.
I'm glad you said that, because the feeling that I had watching it live was that the ball almost ate you up.
Yeah.
But it didn't quite, because you won the battle with the ball. Did Coop get it there? Like, is that an example of his ability to see the play unfolding and get it there on time?
Yeah, as I said, his anticipation is very impressive, and he does it on a daily basis in practice. So I was proud to see him come out and do it again in the game.
And that was the one that went for 28 yards in the second series, so first quarter. Ultimately, that was the drive that ended with Tony Pollard's 1-yard touchdown run. But I like to go to this second quarter. You converted on a 3rd and 3, but a key one before that, Zeke broke out 10 yards, but you had a really key block on that. And so I know you've spoken already about working off the ball and the importance with blocking, but do you get almost as much satisfaction from some of these blocks than you do even catching passes?
Absolutely. I think it's a win-win situation in those type of things. Whereas when you do that, you're helping the team, putting the team in a better position to win. But then also in my personal matchup with whoever's guarding me, it's also just showing that you're gonna have to deal with me in the run game as well. So and it just makes the game harder for them. And I don't think anybody wants to do that for 4 quarters.
And is that the satisfaction when it's the team meetings or even the position group meetings? Are those the kind of plays that the coaches point to as much as making a touchdown catch?
Absolutely. I think that's something that not only coaches pointed out, but teammates appreciate it. Right. Like Zeke makes it known when he sees I make a good block and he comes up and acknowledges it. But it's not really what I'm looking for. I'm just trying to make a play for the team.
All right, we're going to go back and look at how Noah Brown got here. Not this evening. He probably drove this evening. But how did Noah Brown get from being a Giants fan in New Jersey, almost not playing football till his mother intervened, and all the way through Ohio State? Noah Brown, our guest on the Cowboys Hour tonight. We'll be right back.
Go Cowboys!
Miller Lite Cowboys Hour, supported by Albertsons.
Cowboys Hour along the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network is also presented by Lucchese, the official bootmaker of the Dallas Cowboys. I'm Kristi Scales, co-hosting alongside Brad Sham, and our special guest is wide receiver Noah Brown. And as promised before going into break, Noah, we'd like to learn more about your journey of how you get from New Jersey private school football to Ohio State and ultimately to the Dallas Cowboys. But please share the story that Brad alluded to about your mom intervening and getting you involved in the sport.
Or keeping you involved.
Keeping you involved in the sport.
Yeah, no, I was always involved with football since I was 5. But my father actually played basketball for Seton Hall from 93 to 96.
Did he play for Carlissimo?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, he did. So he was a big influence in me wanting to play basketball. Growing up, that was always my favorite because I felt like I had to work a little bit harder at basketball, and it felt better to me to go out and get 25 points playing basketball than go out and get 4, 5, 6 touchdowns, however I was doing in Pee Wee, just because it required a little bit more skill. But as I got to high school, it was going into my junior year. Going into my sophomore year, I didn't have very many offers for either sport, so I wanted to kind of focus on one. But my mom shut that down very fast, and that summer I ended up going out to Boston College for a 7-on-7 camp and got my first offer there, and got my first 3 offers that weekend, actually, and it kind of just took off from there. BC, Rutgers, and I want to say Temple, so all Northeast schools up where I was at.
Now, I looked at the list of people who recruited you before you committed to Ohio State. Mm-hmm. Penn State, Notre Dame, I think I saw Michigan on the list,
right.
Pitt, right? What was magic about Ohio State?
Ohio State was one of the only schools who was strictly saying they're going to let me play wide receiver. You mentioned Notre Dame. Notre Dame wanted me as a linebacker.
Ooh.
There was West Virginia as a corner. So there was a lot of different schools who I didn't really see real opportunities. I was recruited as an athlete coming out of high school. So I wanted to play wide receiver, and I knew that Ohio State was going to give me the opportunity. And also, my grandparents went to Ohio State, so that was
really? Okay.
You should have led with that. Now, can you? I'm just curious because our mothers are influences on us. What was the conversation like when you said you were thinking about trying to decide between the two sports? What did your mother say to you?
She was more so just like, it's so early in my high school career to kind of decide just because I'm not getting the offers or whatever that I want. She was kind of just more so of keep putting in the work to better yourself in both and let time decide which one you should do. And once the offer started rolling in for football, it was kind of clear what I should do. I had a couple of basketball offers, but none at the level that I had for football.
She's not a I told you so kind of mom. Is she?
No, but she definitely has reminded me a couple of times about that. Just more so that I should be thankful I didn't do it. But yeah.
Well, so many of our listeners are not just Cowboys fans, but huge college football fans,
right.
But have never had the opportunity to go to an Ohio State game in person, just watching it on TV. So how do you describe that kind of game day atmosphere?
Chaos. That's really what I would describe it as. But it's definitely something that is an experience. I got to experience it for the first time not playing in the shoe when they played Notre Dame 2 Saturdays ago, and it gave me chills walking in there and seeing everybody and how hours before the game, the streets are flooded. It's an amazing experience.
And the fact that Ohio State, such an established program, so much media coverage, did that help you come into the Cowboys and the NFL? Because it seems like some of the guys who come from smaller programs or Division II, Division III maybe aren't as well prepared for some of the off-field things that come with the kind of attention of being a Dallas Cowboy.
I say, yeah, going to Ohio State definitely helped with that. I start with our stadium. It fits 108,000, so just getting used to playing in front of that many eyes and you got hostile environments like Penn State. So, and I've still never played in a game louder than that. So
okay, so what's harder, playing at Penn State or one of the Big Ten, wherever you played at Ohio State, or Philly, some of these NFL places? It could get loud in Seattle, and of course Green Bay is always interesting in terms of football history.
There's a couple places that are known for being loud in the NFL stadiums I haven't been to yet, so I can't quite say that, but I can say the loudest game I've ever played in was at Penn State.
Being a Jersey guy, would I be right that Philadelphia fans don't make you do anything but laugh?
Philly is a tricky situation with them. I like a lot of my music taste is a lot of Philly people. I listen to a lot of Philly things, so the Philly culture I actually enjoy. But their fans are different.
How would you differentiate them from Giant fans, which you once were? Then what's it like? Tell people what it's like being a Dallas Cowboy. I try to tell people you don't understand sports hate until you have ridden on a Dallas Cowboys bus going into Philadelphia, New York, or Washington.
Right. I would say growing up as a Giants fan and now playing for Dallas it's a little bit different, just because being on the other side of it now, it's fun to me, because you realize that a lot of this stuff is just because there is a lot of attention on us and there's a high expectation for us. So I think it's a positive.
Did you hate the Cowboys big time?
I wouldn't say I did. No, I was originally a big Tiki Barber fan, which is why I was a Giants fan. I continued to be a Giants fan, but eventually Des Bryant was my favorite player. So I had some love for the Cowboys.
Okay, easy transition then. Am I right that you were on the Ohio State national championship team that won the championship at AT&T Stadium?
Yes, that was my freshman year.
And so what was that like walking into that building for the first time on that team? That was surreal. I remember all of that like it was yesterday. It was a great game. But we were kind of riding our momentum off beating Alabama the game before that. We felt like that was the major hump we had to get over. But now you're in the national championship, and it's a pretty cool stadium, especially when you walk in it for the first time.
Right.
Was it like? But we already beat Alabama, so this is nice, but it ain't no big deal.
I wouldn't say I was too focused on the surroundings of the stadium, really, because like I said, playing at Ohio State, like you've seen a big crowd before. The jumbotron was a little bit different, but we were focused on winning the game. Yeah,
let's talk about that scoreboard with AT&T Stadium being the only one with the center hung board, and the game Sunday against the Bengals. It's the second week in a row that we had a punt hit the scoreboard. And what was interesting was this past weekend, the officials did not correctly have a repunt. So the way it's supposed to work is a punt hits the board, dead ball, repunt.
Right.
Did you ever get an explanation on the field, or was there confusion and just like, what in the world is going on? The end result was the ball was spotted at the 17-yard line.
Spoiler alert, she got the explanation.
Yeah,
she
but did you ever receive an explanation of what the heck? Because I know you guys were expecting to repunt.
Right. No, we were definitely expecting to repunt just because we saw it hit the thing. But we knew it was supposed to be downed at the 17. And to be honest with you, I was dead tired. We had just had a 12-play drive. I was at PP. I wasn't really looking for an explanation. So I just know they spotted the ball where they spotted it.
Yeah, I do think it worked ultimately to the Cowboys' advantage because of that. But
tell the people.
Okay, well, what happened is the 7 officials who are on the field, the officiating crew, they're not watching the flight of the ball. They don't see it go up in the air and come down because they're watching the players. And so they rely on the network broadcasts. So CBS was broadcasting the game, and what ultimately happened is the folks in the CBS network truck did not have a good angle video showing the punt hitting the board until it was basically too late.
Right.
So the referee, Brad Allen, they had spotted the ball at the 17, and I believe that the play clock was actually starting by the time the CBS folks actually found the video, which did show definitively that the punt hit the board, but it was very confusing. And I know that even after the game, the Zach Taylor, who's the Bengals head coach, still, he's like, I don't know, we all saw it, but that's what happened. But we're going to have to take a break in just a minute. But when we come back, I want to talk about your work on special teams, and particularly as punt protector. I think Mike McCarthy, he loves talking about the fact that Noah Brown is a great wide receiver, but the fact that he's a personal protector on punts and does so much on teams is what makes him so unique. And so we'll hear from Noah about that when the Cowboys Hour continues here on the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
To the Miller Lite Cowboys Hour, supported by Albertsons.
The Cowboys Hour on the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network is also supported by Papa John's. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's, the official pizza of the Dallas Cowboys. I'm Kristi Scales, Cowboys sideline reporter, alongside co-host Brad Sham, the voice of the Dallas Cowboys. And we are so thrilled tonight to have number 85 Cowboys wide receiver Noah Brown as our special guest. And we were talking earlier about how important Noah is to Cowboys special teams, and what a great vindication for the importance of special teams with the win over the Bengals 20-17 in Week 2. And we want to talk specifically about your role as personal protector on punts and punt coverage. What is the role of the personal protector in the punt game?
In a way, you're the quarterback of the punt team. You got to make sure everyone's getting the count right as far as how the punt return team is lined up, who's assigned to who, blocking, and then get the snap off, and then you're required to go down and cover. So there's a little bit involved with it.
And how fun is it to have that role when you have a creative and fun, very energetic special teams coordinator like John Fossil?
Yeah, no, Bones is a great coach. He makes everything fun. He makes you want to play for him. So, I take great pride in going out there on fourth downs when we need to and getting the job done as a PP.
And I think one of the things that I won't say went unnoticed, but is not appreciated about the win over Cincinnati, yes, Brett Maher with the 50-yard field goal as time expired for the game-winning field goal, but prior to that, Brian Anger pinning the Bengals down, I believe it was the 8-yard line and in the corner. Pro Bowl season for Brian Anger, but tell me if I'm wrong, but I think what a great specialist he is, that even though he's a Pro Bowler, he may be underappreciated by Cowboy fans. Definitely.
I definitely don't think he gets the recognition that he deserves. He's been great ever since he's gotten here for us, and he continues to just put great punts out there. So I'm glad we got him on our team.
I was interested. I talked to him after the game, and I asked him if he got ramped up for that punt the way Maher did for the winning. He said, "Yeah, I kind of liked that one. I was enjoying that." Can you? And he's got a little different personality than Maher, but he's still pretty low key. Mm-hmm. And those three guys kind of it looks like they stay to themselves a lot. Him and Jake McQuaid, the long snapper. But can you tell, like when you're calling the signal on the punt, right? Mm-hmm. So can you tell when you break the huddle that he's a little juiced for this one?
No, I can't say I can tell usually, because usually he's behind the huddle, right, and I'm looking forward. But I'm not surprised at that. I think all three of our specialists are real competitors. Even Jake McQuaid, you'll see him hop in linebacker drills. So they just want to do everything they can to help the team and compete. And
no, I want to speak to the specifics on the operation in the punt game and on PATs and field goals. I interviewed Jake and Brian and Brett last week, and it has to do with football being a game that is measured in the hundredth of a second. Mm-hmm. So, for example, Brian said that on a punt, from the time that Jake begins the snap to the time that he catches the snap, drops the ball, and puts foot to football, mm-hmm, that it's 1.3 seconds. And it's the exact same time for the operation of a field goal or PAT. So this would be Jake snapping the ball, Brian, who is the holder, catching the ball, placing it down, and Brett Maher, the kicker, his foot striking the ball. Right. And they said the difference, they had gotten it down from 1.38 seconds to 1.30. And on field goals, that's particularly important because that 0.08 of a second is the difference in having to block the guy coming in off the edge and trying to lay out and block the kick.
You saw it in the Cincinnati-Pittsburgh game.
Because they had to, their deep snapper got hurt. They put in a backup tight end to deep snap. And so the speed is different, the operation is off, but particularly in the punt game, that at 1.3 seconds, I mean, it's just as fast as you can snap your fingers twice, and yet it's all happening. Can you just speak to how refined things have to be? Because when people think of football, they think of big 300-pound guys crashing into each other and don't have the appreciation for the precision of the game.
I think, number one, I've always had great respect for specialists in the way that they're not in the limelight a lot of the time, but in the biggest moments, they're the ones that need to be counted on to come in and make the play. They may have 4 plays in that game, and they may be the 4 most important. And a lot of people discredit that by saying you only have one job, but that one job is not easy. So for them to be so refined at that and you're saying 1.3. That's not a common number. That's extremely fast. So for them to be able to do that consistent basis just says a lot about them.
Now let me ask you something. Now I think you and Kristi were talking about this in the last break. Bones was adamant last week after that happened with Cincinnati. I'm not telling you who our backup long snapper is, but we have one. Okay, now I think I know who it is, but he doesn't want it said, so fine. How about a backup punter and holder? Heaven forfend if Anger sprains an ankle and he needs a tape job while you got a punt, or there's an extra point. Don't tell me who it is. I don't want you in trouble with Bones.
Right.
But is there a backup holder and a backup punter?
I'm looking at him right now across the desk.
Why do you think it's him?
Because I know he's the backup holder, and I'm not sworn to secrecy on that. I'm not sworn to secrecy on that. We're only sworn to secrecy on who the backup snapper is.
This is so interesting. So is this true? Are you, in fact, the backup holder?
Yes.
Yes. How did you refine your holding skills? Have you ever held in a game?
No, in practice many times, but not in an actual game.
So how does that come up the first time?
Bones requested.
And he asked for you to do it?
Yeah.
Did you appreciate that when you first came into the league, the old adage of the more you can do? I like to think of Blake Jarwin as an example. When he came in as a undrafted tight end, and he's on the practice squad the first part of his rookie year, and I look out, and after practice, they're working with him on deep snapping, which of course he didn't do in college, but I'm thinking to myself, man, if they're working with him to maybe be a backup snapper, they like him, they want to keep him, the more he can do. So did you have the appreciation for that, Noah, when you first came in, and that when they're dumping more stuff on you, it's because they like you?
No, definitely. I was, when I first came here, and even now, I'm looking for every way for them to try and use me, every way for them to have to keep me here. So that was definitely a plus and something I was looking forward to doing.
You ever volunteer to play defense if needed?
I haven't, but I'm willing.
I mean, it's funny. They're lined up out the locker room door and out to the parking lot to be able to get in and do what Luke Gifford did yesterday. Right? Like, I will bet that Micah is wearing Kellen Moore out about the things he could do offensively. And by the way, I wouldn't mind seeing someone throw a fade to Micah, like in a goal line situation. Who's going to cover him? I'm just asking who's going to cover him. But they're lined up out the door to go play offense. Mm-hmm. But I don't know how many offensive guys are, knocking on Quinn's door and saying, if you need a linebacker, if you need another safety, I'm your guy. I did it,
No, there's a couple that I could do it, and I think I'm one of them.
Have you ever had to drop back on like a Hail Mary? Sometimes they'll put receivers out there on defense to help knock down a pass at the end. Have you ever had to do something like that?
Never in that situation. Only time I ever played defense was in high school. So.
All right, we got about 3 minutes left. One thing I'm getting from listening to you talk is that you are a football fan.
Yes, sir.
You like football. It's amazed me through the years the number of professional football players who don't watch football, they like playing it, they like what the game's given them, but they wouldn't describe themselves as football fans. So will you watch a game for recreation?
Oh, yeah, all the time. I think that's the only time I really ever do watch TV is if I'm watching either football or some other sporting event.
Really?
Absolutely.
All right, so what's your favorite sporting event to watch to kill time? If you could make every sport overlap and be at the same time.
March Madness.
See, I knew I liked this. Say why.
Just because of how anything can happen. The matchups are always crazy and everything's entertaining because basketball is, not as much. It's physical, but you can have teams with supposedly lesser come out and have a big upset. So it's always, every game's fun to watch.
Well, I know that's Brad's favorite too, and he's called many March Madness games and studio host. Yeah.
I think it's the best sporting event in America.
He was in New Orleans
beginning to
last
end.
year. Yeah,
right.
for that.
Absolutely. All right, so you got another day off tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to do with your time off?
Tuesdays are my recovery days, so everything will be, I'll get massage, I'll go to physical therapy, and just take care of my body, get ready to practice for the week.
What'd you do today?
Today we had a run in the lift, so same thing pretty much.
Okay.
Take care of the body.
So when you're relaxing, what do you do when you got a few hours a day maybe? Mm-hmm. What do you like to do?
I play a lot of video games. I listen to a lot of music. I say those are the two main things I do. What's your video game of choice? Madden. I play Call of Duty too, though, so it's not all football all the time, but Madden's my favorite.
And who's the best Madden player on the team? Go ahead and say you if it's you.
I want to say me, but that's not the truth. I say right now it's probably Micah.
Micah spends a lot of time on that game, doesn't he?
He does.
I haven't beaten Micah, so I can't come on here and say I'm better.
But you've played him.
Yeah, I've played him.
Okay.
It's always amusing how much consternation the Madden ratings cause for NFL players.
The world has changed. Hey, such a treat to have watched Noah Brown come in as a rookie, work as hard as you have, and see you having the success you have. And thanks for spending part of your day off with us. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. I appreciate you having me.
Noah Brown. Next week, we're at Concrete Cowboy with Cavante Turpin. That'll be fun. 6 o'clock. Come out and see us with Kristi Scales. I'm Brad Sham. Thanks for joining us.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys?